presence. Now let's do one more together. What is vibing? This is Vish, and today I will be talking to you all about how to overcome anxiety. This will be a topic that maybe is of high relevance in today's day and age. Today being, let's check the date, June 3rd of, let's see if it focuses. I'm not sure if it's inverted for y'all, but excuse me, June 3rd, technically it's the June 2nd, but it's just past midnight now, so June 3rd of 2021. Body and mind is tired again. I gotta start doing these earlier in the day, but I've actually started an internship now, so it's, just trying to balance it all. But anyways, how to overcome anxiety, how to beat it. Well, I want to briefly talk about the experiences I've had, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. So I'm going to first start by saying that, because that isn't important. You see, you finding what you kind of relate to might to an extent help, because you might feel like you're not only alone, you're not the only one. But the key here is the overcoming aspect. It's not the, oh, okay, I have that too, and sure, we'll be fine, let's just have anxiety together. No, the important part of this, really just the goal for this video, is to help you overcome it. So briefly starting off with the anxiety experience I had, I'm not too sure about the extent of when it started per se, and maybe I might have had an anxious personality maybe growing up. Excuse me, don't mind. Noise is blocked. I'm not even sure what it is. Allergies? Something. But anyways, this is me catching the breath whenever I'm talking to y'all, just because the nose is blocked. But with that being said, the first time I noticed getting a little anxious was actually when playing sports, very interestingly. So I love playing sports. So there was baseball, soccer, I played baseball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and eventually got to weightlifting, which, whether you call it a sport or not, is up to you. But the point is, I noticed when I played these team sport, practices were cool, but it was when I was playing games, I would kind of just get all tight, within, and just get anxious, nervous, similar stuff, butterflies, if you want to call it that. And so fast forward, high school, there's nothing really much present per se. I feel like maybe here and there, and I feel like this is something that's really honestly common, as I've realized, more recently. Going back to I just realized I kind of skipped the part, which was the why I'm doing this, and why it's so relevant, why you might find it more relatable. And that's because we're not only in the COVID pandemic right now, it being June 3rd of 2021. Things are definitely clearing up, but at the same time, it's not over. And so, as Sadhguru says beautifully, we're not only in the COVID pandemic, we're in the mental health pandemic. So, anyways, with that being said, let's see, where was I going? Okay. So, there wasn't too much. And what I was trying to mention was that there might have been a light panic attack type of thing, maybe here and there. I do kind of had this one moment that I remember in high school. I was on the way to some tennis game and I felt some sensation, and right after that I was just gone. So nothing serious, to be honest. Again, I feel like it's something that's very common right now, and in fact I think the stat goes 1 in 5 Americans have some sort of mental illness, or I guess define mental illness. Now, before I get into, this is gonna be another video topic, and I appreciate your patience and presence as I type this down. Okay, so because you're patient and present as I type that in, I'm just gonna let you know what the topic was that I noted down. That was, is mental health real? And this might be a little controversial with, how things are in today's day and age, but the reality is I've definitely gone through some things with especially anxiety primarily. in the past. So I went from, let's just say, being oblivious to this stuff to experiencing it and being a little overly attached to now where I'm connected but detached, if that makes sense. So now let's get more into the actual how to overcome. I do want to not have you wait too much for this. So the first thing is to realize okay, let's start with the basic steps. 1, you're not alone. That is very important. Anxiety does tend to come in so many different ways. It can be a panic attack, it can be tightness in the throat, it can be stomach cramps, it can be chest pain, it can be breathing that gets off, it can be thoughts, it can be it comes in so many forms. It's really just, let's just call it excessive worry, and this is just coming from within now as I'm expressing what it means. Really just excessive worry about something that the psychological mind has attributed to being real, which may or may not be real. The reason I'm saying may or may not is because when I'd actually gone through some experiences with this stuff, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'd gone some tests with physical tests. And physically, they were saying that was perfect. Everything was fine, heart, breath, everything. Yet psychologically, things weren't really the most regular, if you want to call it that. And even physically in a way, so, I guess the scientific physical aspect, I was fine, but there were physical symptoms, which again, I'm not going into detail about because the point here is to not, relate, but to learn how to overcome. So anyways, the point of all of that is, 1, you're not alone. 2, it can come in many different ways. So truly realize that you're not alone. The third point will be this beautiful quote that Marcus Aurelius actually said. And it's true. Again, it might come off as a little controversial. And let's see. Beautiful right here. Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. You see, as he says, it is literally something that is within you. Now, that doesn't mean it's not real per se, but existential, and this is what I've come to realize, right? And what meditation has taught me, again, it's relatively normal to have anxious symptoms. Let's just say, use the term as it is, that will come and go for any human being, truly. But what really makes the biggest difference is how much importance, how much attention you give it. So here's the key, right? I'm not saying you should ignore it. I'm not saying you should reject it. Anything you fight will just come back at you stronger. As Eckhart Tolle beautifully says, anything you resist will persist. Excuse me. So with that being said, it's really just important to accept it first, unconditionally. And I'm kind of going a little all over the place, so let's go back to grounding. The first step being to realize that you're not alone. Second, to realize that it can come in different ways. Third is going to be to unconditionally accept it. Because you see, literally, anxiety could be something that could be at the root of everything, but it's really not. It's usually, it might seem like it's just coming out of nowhere, but there usually is some sort of place it's coming from. It's really just the unconscious conditioning that's occurred. This could be due to your lifestyle, whether it's unconsciously drinking unconscious amounts of coffee, you unconsciously sleeping at the unconscious times, sleeping unconsciously, waking up unconsciously, eating you get the idea. It's this unconscious conditioning which you don't really know about. And so anxiety, or really just worry, any sort of negative quote-unquote emotion, is really just occurring due to the difference between what is and what isn't. That space, you see, so this is what is, and let's say this is what isn't, or what you want. That space is what creates this anxiety. So even if you, let's just say, were to have this uncomfortable sensation, this can be literally a mosquito bite to some sort of aching arm to injury to anything, right? So you can literally develop anxiety over anything. So the physical sensation itself is not something you should really give it as a big deal or make it a big deal. And the reason I'm saying is, as I said, it could be coming in all these different forms. Now, the moment you have this quote-unquote uncomfortable sensation, it doesn't have to be comfortable. Let's say you have an uncomfortable sensation. It's important to accept it, because if you don't accept it, essentially what's happening is there's a sensation which you don't like. You want it to not be there, which is the isn't, right? That's not what's happening. That's what you kind of want. So it's not what it's, okay. It's hopefully not getting too confusing. It's what's not happening and it's what you want, which is that feeling to not be there. And then what is happening is that feeling, right? Whatever that feeling is, mental, psychological, physical, so on. That space is actually the anxiety. If you can truly accept that as what it is and be like, okay, I'm just having this slight discomfort as just another feeling that will come and go, then it's simple as that. And that brings me to the next point, which is everything is temporary, including this present moment, including life itself. So even the feeling will be, therefore, I mean, just logically at that point, will also be temporary. And so no matter how tough something is in terms of the anxiety or how long it's lasting, it's just temporary. A lot of us today are getting more anxious about being anxious. You get anxiety about anxiety. The key is fear. Fear will fuel anxiety. The moment you let go of that fear and you fully accept what it is, it will naturally end the cycle. It is as simple as that. I know it's easier said than done, but it's important to practice this, which is a very simple formula. If you made it to the end, this is the key right here. Don't give it attention. Accept it, but draw the attention to the present moment. This can be through breath awareness, looking at your surroundings, just listening to sounds, listening to nature, playing a sport, anything, right? Maybe doing a physical exercise will truly help you release whatever stuff is getting, stuck inside you. And just realizing that everything is temporary and that this shall too pass. Beautiful, beautiful, and simple quote, but very powerful and true. That is all you need. These are the tools that you really just need. And let's brief that one more time. Anxiety comes in all forms. You're not alone. This shall too pass. This is actually important too, which I didn't really too much mention, but you're not the body, you're not the mind. So that way any pain that comes will just be there as pain. It's not going to be suffering. Usually suffering is attachment to the pain, or it's really just identification with the pain. You realize you're not the pain, bang, it's gone. Well, it's not gone, it just isn't affecting you. And the key here is to stop it affecting you. Because then once you stop letting it affect you, meaning how you do that is through not giving it attention, don't fuel it with fear, then naturally it'll just dissipate. Or even if it's there, some people have all sorts of chronic pain conditions. I mean, anxiety is truly in your control, more than you think. And so just follow these tips. Hopefully this isn't too confusing. Like I've mentioned before, this is a very raw realization series where I don't edit this and it's all uncut. So please comment down below if you're a little confused or if you have any other questions. Maybe you want me to make another video and make this more clear and to the point. So feel free to comment that down below. Appreciate you taking the time. Make it your day. Take it joyfully. Present. Now let's do one more together. Stay conscious and ecstasy.